Again, for those of you who don't know me, Samantha Russell from 20 Over 10, and I run all of our marketing and business development here as we work with advisors. Again, this webinar will be recorded and sent out to everybody. So if you have to leave early for some reason, don't worry about that. We'll get it to you. If you have a question, you can send it directly to me through the Q&A box, or if it's something like a comment, or if I ask for feedback, you can put it into the chat box and everyone on the line will be able to see that. So today we're going to discuss the website formula for increased lead generation and revenue generation. We're going to talk about optimal placement and getting more leads through pop-ups and different calls to actions, chats, things like that. How to use your website and blog to build your email list, and then what do you actually do once you get those emails? That's another really challenging part of the equation. How to get more traffic in general, and then using analytics to iterate and improve. So the first thing I just want to point out is that the foundation of all of your marketing is your website. I'm so glad to see so many of our own clients on today. I love this quote from Michael Kitces. He says, "Would you give your life savings to someone without typing their name into Google?" And I think we all know the answer to that is no, absolutely not, right? So even if you're somebody sitting there right now saying, I'm getting all of my leads from referrals, those referrals are still going to look you up online before they get in touch with you. We all know that. So when they do go to Google you, the next question is, when they land on your website, what is the impression that they're going to get? What are they going to see, right? So this little GIF here, this moving image, is showing you the before and after of a website. So this was the before. You can see it on the page. They're very text heavy, missing a lot of graphical imagery. And then here is the after. Our brains process imagery 60,000 times faster than text. It's one of my favorite quotes. I say it all the time. And so we are going to make first impressions about a website very quickly, just by the way it looks to start, more than anything, right? Then the next thing you need to remember is that the average site visit is less than 2 minutes. It's actually about 1.3, so way less than 2 minutes. And pictures really are worth 1,000 words, right? So if we look at this big block of text here, it's really hard to just very quickly understand what it's all about. I pulled this from an actual advisory firm's website. And at the crux of it, I'll summarize it for you. What they're saying is that they operate as your family's CFO. That's how they run their business. But if we look at this example here from a client we've worked with, Allison Wealth Management, they have this great graphic that they created and put on their website that is the exact same message, but shown through imagery, right? So it's much easier to understand what they're trying to say. They're saying, why would you try to act as an insurance agent, a banker, an investment advisor, a real estate agent, or have to cobble all those things together when you can hire our team to do all those things for you, right? So if they're working with really busy business owners or professionals, entrepreneurs, this is going to offer a lot of value, and it's going to very quickly articulate the same message that all of these words say, but which of these two is going to resonate immediately and offer an immediate value proposition that someone can walk away understanding very quickly, right? If number one is your jam, you're going to be in the smaller minority. That's not to say that from an SEO perspective, search engine optimization, you definitely want to still include a lot of content on your website, of course. However, that content does not belong on your homepage where you're trying to quickly summarize your value proposition. That content belongs in a blog post. So on the main pages of your website, your homepage, your about page, your services, that's where you want to be very image and graphic heavy and less text heavy. Okay, so we've established that your website is the foundation, the hub for all your marketing. I think everybody agrees upon that. So let's talk about what this formula is for how we increase leads and revenue with our website. And just see if I can make this screen a little bit bigger. Oops, I don't want to do that. Amanda, do you know how to get that bar back? So I can, there we go.
There you go.
Okay, thanks everyone, bear with me. Okay, so here is this website formula for increasing leads and revenue. So on the left-hand side of this equation, at the upper, above the bar, we see a total number of traffic that you could be getting per month, right? So I have 300, 400, or 500. For many of you, you said you're not sure or you're getting 200 or less. So you're going to be even less than this per month, which is why if we then look at conversions and how many leads it produces, you're not seeing a lot of results. If you're getting 200 visitors or less per month and your conversion rate is 1% or less, then that means you're going to be getting 2 or less leads per month, right? Our goal today is to talk about how do we increase both the amount of traffic and the percentage of conversions that you get so that you ultimately get more leads, right? That is what we need to do in order to drive more leads and generate more revenue from your digital marketing. So what we're going to do today is break this into 3 sections, but we're actually going to work backwards. So what we know is that leads are more likely to want to work with you if they see you as specializing in working with people just like them. And so that's where having a very well-defined differentiating factor or a niche audience comes into play. So we're actually going to talk about this quickly, and I'm going to show just a few examples first. Then we're going to talk about calls to action, right? Because before we drive a lot of traffic to your website, of course, we want to make sure that you have the website built in a way that captures people's attention and then gives them something, a freemium or some sort of call to action that will make them want to give up their information. So we're going to talk about calls to action second, which impacts conversions. And then lastly, we'll talk about how to get more traffic to begin with, which is the last piece of the course or piece of the equation. So let's start right now with the point number 1, which is the differentiation factor. The riches are in the niches, which I'm sure you've all heard. So number 1, your differentiating factor should be very prominent on the homepage of your website. What is the one problem that you solve for a specific group of people right on your homepage? So in this example here, you can see they have college, career confusion. Do you have your dream medical job but no idea how to handle your finances? We can help, right? So they're helping people who've gone through medical school and have a lot of debt. They're helping them get organized. And you can see in the bottom right hand, they have this live chat. So you don't even need to go through their whole website. You can immediately just start chatting them right then and there if you're ready to talk. The next one I wanted to show is that your differentiator should be easy to understand. So in this one, you can just see on Archer Investment Management's homepage, it says financial planning for tech professionals and more, right? In 2 seconds, we understand that Archer specializes in working with people that work at tech companies. Very, very easy to understand. So one of the things that I always get, told over and over again when I tell people you need to have a clearly defined niche is, well, I don't want to make people who don't fit that niche come to my website and be scared off and not want to work with me, right? So I've seen this happen more and more. You can see here on Archer Investment Management website, Richard Archer, he has and more listed there, right? So if you don't happen to be a tech professional, you might say, oh, wait, it says and more. He works with other people besides tech professionals. My personal belief is that you're much better off to be highly specific and don't worry about the 1 or 2 people you might lose who don't fit that niche, and instead think about all the people who will be referred to you because of your niche. And that leads me to point number 3, which is that your differentiating factor should make you both memorable and referable. So you can be very broad, right? So here's an example from Divorce Financial Solutions. You can see on their homepage, they have avoid financial mistakes in your divorce, work with an expert in divorce finances. So this is very memorable. If I am somebody who is a real estate agent and I'm talking to a client and they're coming to buy a house because they're going through a divorce, I might think, oh, I know somebody that works at this company. I'm going to refer this client of mine to them because they need to talk with this person, right? It's very memorable. Everybody in your centers of influence is going to remember that. But yet that's very broad. People going through divorce, unfortunately, in the nature of our society, people are getting divorced every day. So it's not so hyper specific that you are eliminating a huge portion of the population. So your differentiator should make you memorable and referable. It can be broad, but it needs to be right on the homepage. One point that I will point out is that historically in the past, we've seen so many advisors, their differentiator was that they were a fee-only fiduciary advisor. That's what they used as their differentiating factor. I would argue that if that's the only thing you have, you really need to change that. Number 1, more and more advisors are putting that in their marketing and working that way. And number 2, consumers have heard so much about the DOL fiduciary rule and now with the passing of Reg BI that they're just going to come to expect that you are going to operate as a fiduciary as a bare minimum, right? That's just going to be their baseline. So you need to go above and beyond that and talk more about the problems that they have, that particular group of people, and what specific solutions you provide. Okay, so just to recap this before we move on to the next component of the formula, you want to be specific about your niche. You want to structure your site like an engaging sales presentation, not a brochure. Being a specialist is going to allow you to build that rapport and credibility. And again, if you're only, differentiating factor to this point is that you are a fiduciary, you need to get more specific than that. That's not going to cut it anymore. Your imagery and graphics are going to convey your message much quicker than text, if you remember from that personal CFO example I showed. And focus on your homepage first. So in order of most visited pages, your homepage is going to be your most visited page, then your about or your team or, bio page, and then lastly, your contact page. So those are the three pages you want to pay the most attention to in terms of going back and looking at your messaging. And remember, when all else fails, people respond best to problem solution-based marketing. What is the problem that the group of people you help has, and what solution do you provide? So at 20 over 10, we work with financial advisors who have trouble marketing their businesses because of time and compliance, right? They don't know what they need to be doing. They don't have the time to do it. Or from a compliance standpoint, it's a headache. Think about your own value proposition, and it should be very easy for people to understand right on the homepage. Again, if you are looking for help with this, just a quick plug for our business. This is an example of our backend CMS. We have lots of our own clients here on the call today who I'm sure can tell you that the content management system we provide is really easy to use. If you have been thinking about making a switch or getting started with us and haven't done it already, if you get in touch with us via hello at 20 over 10 by June 24th, and you're a brand new customer, we will give you 1 month free from your subscription. So check that out, hello at 20over10.com. Okay, so let's talk about the next part of the equation, right? So we started with the idea that you need to have a clearly defined niche in order to capture the most number of leads. But the other big piece of the puzzle is your call to action, right? So we know that your SEO is going to impact how much traffic you get every month. Your call to action is going to impact how many of those website visitors convert. And then the niche audience is going to impact the quality of those conversions, right? Most advisors that talk with me will tell me, my conversion rate is super high once I get in front of someone. If I have the opportunity to sit down and talk to them about what I do and the value I provide, 60, 70% of people will convert. So if you can bump the number of leads that you're getting that are quality leads from 3 to 12, and you can get 60 or 70% of those leads to convert, you're talking about a really nice pipeline every month, right? So just clearly identifying your niche is number one. We want people to self-qualify when they land on your site. Number two is enticing them to give up their email address through your call to action. So let's talk about that. This is just something we did a couple months ago. So we surveyed 206 advisory firms, both 20 over 10 users and non. And we asked them 5 questions. You can see them here. But the one I wanted to point out that's really impactful when it comes to calls to action is we asked how many leads contact you through your website per month. And those who reported getting 6 to 10 or 11 or more clients a year from just their website, the number one thing they all had in common was that they had a calendar link right on their website, right? Right on their website, they had a calendar link. So this is huge. And what it reminds us is that people, the impetus for them is often they just don't have the time to think about it. When they know they want to work with a financial advisor, they know that they want to get started, but why are they not contacting you? It's because it's not the number one priority of what they have to deal with that day. But when does it become a number one priority, right? When they have a fight with their spouse late at night, when they are, finally getting fed up with their taxes at the end of the year. It's some pain point, and those pain points do not usually happen between normal business hours. So you want to have right on your website a very easy way for someone to schedule a call with you. And if you do this, you will see the number of leads go up. Now, the number one objection I'm told is, well, I don't want to put a calendar on my website because if I do that, then people that aren't qualified are going to get in touch with me and it's going to clog up my calendar. If you clearly define your niche, like we talked about in step 1, that will not be a problem. So you need to take care of that first. But then once you get this calendar set up, you're going to see a huge conversion rate, right? So the way that it looks can be very different. So in this example here, empowering women to gain control of their financial future, they have where they're based, but they work with women in this area, and then they have schedule a phone call, right? So you can use Calendly, you can use Time Trade, you can use Schedule Once. There's all kinds of different calendar apps. 20 over 10 can work with all of them. You provide us the info and we'll pop it in for you. But this is going to make it really, really easy for people to get on your calendar. And again, that was the #1 thing people who reported getting 6 to 10 or 11 or more clients per year from their website had in common was that calendar link. Okay, so besides having your calendar link, there's going to be other buttons on your website you're going to have that you're going to want people to click on for different calls to action, right? Maybe it's to download something, and you're going to have various calls to action depending on what stage of the game they're in. If somebody just is visiting your website for the first time because they read a really great blog post you wrote, they might not be ready to schedule a call, and that's okay. We want to just get their email and drip on them. So a few things to note in terms of how you actually set up those buttons. First of all, this is a little just screenshot from our platform to show you that you can create a button anywhere in the platform on your own, just using our built-in button tools. And you can see we have a couple different options listed there. Typically, the bigger the button, the more eye-catching it's going to be, the higher your conversion rate is going to be. Excuse me. The size is definitely going to matter, but the color and the copy matter too, right? So you want to think about what kind of words are going to motivate people most to click the button. And you can test this because it's so easy to change in 20 over 10's platform. You might start off with the call to action that says, book your free consultation, but you realize a lot of people aren't clicking that. Maybe it sounds too salesy. So you change up the copy on your page to talk about how you work with tons of, employees at different tech companies in Silicon Valley, maybe like Richard Archer. And then your call to action says something like, let's go over your benefit package. And that's what the button actually says, right? And then you can test to see, does that drive more people to click on the button and give up their email? So you can think about the copy that you're using. The more specific you can make the copy to that problem solution that we talked about previously, the higher your conversion rate is going to be. So you definitely want to test this over and over again. Okay, so calls to action and lead capture are in the same boat, but they can also be two different things in the sense that the call to action is the next step that we want someone to take. The lead capture is the actual tool or giveaway or what it is that you're doing to get them to complete that call to action, if that makes sense. So with lead captures, it could be download my free ebook, get my checklist, sign up for my mailing list. The #1 that we see the most being used is to sign up for your mailing list. But that usually gets the least amount of clicks because you aren't proving enough value. They haven't seen the emails, so how do they know it's valuable enough to give you their email, right? They can look at your blog post, but that's a lot more work on them. So the best thing you want to do is have a visual of what they're going to get, or to just be highly specific, again, to your niche audience. So here's an example, CL Sheldon and Company. They work specifically within the military. So they're working with vets and active duty. And you can see they have understand civilian retirement plans. Are you a military officer getting ready to retire? And then they talk about how you can get their free white paper. So they not only say, give us your email and your name, but I love this, they include military branch, right? So the idea here is when somebody's looking at this, they're like, oh man, this person knows the military so well that depending on what branch of the military I'm in, they're even going to have different information. So it's very nuanced to my particular situation. So this is a great call to action that shows they understand their niche audience and provides value, right? Here's another one. This firm is a little bit more broad because I know a lot of you are more broad in who you serve. So it might just be, I work with people in retirement. People love to know whether or not they're doing things wrong or right. We love to know, do we make mistakes that everybody else makes? So this one, top 10 mistakes people make in retirement, I love that because people want to know, am I making those mistakes or not, right? So it's sort of playing on our fears as humans that we want to know whether or not we're making those mistakes. So just real quick, note with both of these, they're only asking for two things mandatory, name and email. This military branch doesn't have the red dot next to it, so it's not mandatory. You don't want to ask for a lot of information. I was laughing. I saw a call to action the other day, a lead capture, and it was like first name, last name, company size, amount of revenue you make per year, your title. And it was like going on a first date with somebody and asking them a million questions where they're going to back off. You want to start small and not scare people away. So, try to keep it as minimal as possible to get the highest number of conversions. So here's a slide, not to overwhelm you, but to just show you some of the different tools you can use and to basically say that there's lots of different options and it's going to depend on what you're trying to do and who you want to focus on. Our team is here to help. If you are working with us, we can certainly help you determine what's going to be best to set up, what platforms to use, what kind of pop-ups to use, email, CRM, but you want all of these tools to work together with your website to make your website a workhorse. You want whatever tools you choose to work so that they all talk to each other. So if you're getting leads and or filling out a form on your website, then it's automatically adding it to your MailChimp and to your Redtail, for instance, so that you're not having to then manually go into all those systems and update them. So these are some options because we always get asked about tools. If you have a question about tools or a comment about something you've used that you love, certainly put it in the chat box for the rest of our community here to know. Okay, before we move on to SEO and how to get more site traffic, I really want this to be a little bit more interactive. So I just wanted to ask, of those of you that have gotten a lead from, your website, how many, if anybody wants to share, what was the average value of that lead when you finally did get somebody who, I'm sorry, not a lead, a client, when they turn into a client, what was the AUM that they were bringing over? I've gotten emails from people before with some really great results, but I don't know, if here on the call, anybody wants to share, when they've got actual client from their website or their marketing, what that number could look like. So if you'd like to share it with us, please let us know. And the other one that I'd like to know is how, qualified are those leads on on average? Would you say that they're pretty highly qualified or not? What you're getting currently right now. That is, I think, just helpful for other people to see. And, oh, good, we're getting some comments. So some people are saying they're getting some leads just kicking tires. Some people saying, an average monthly fee, but they're not managing assets. So looks like we already have a couple different options listed there. So thanks for those of you who have let us know. For those of you that do have a calendar app that you use currently, I would love to know, have you noticed any correlation between when people, like when you see all of a sudden somebody pop up, have you noticed people, like you go to bed at night and you wake up in the morning and you have a new meeting booked on your calendar? If that's happened to you, raise your hand or let us know. Because I've seen that happen for a lot of the advisors that I've worked with personally. And I think it's a great testament to being available when, oh good, I'm seeing some people raising their hand. When, when you're not there in the office, your website is there and available for people to book on. Wow. So Frances is saying leads that are finding her website are very valuable. Some have been up to $15,000 a year in revenue. And she said she's got 70 plus people scheduling consults a year. Great, Frances. Well, you'll have to share more of your tips with us. Okay, so we're going to pop back into more about the equation. Oh, good. I have another person who just said that they're getting lots of meeting requests after business hours. So if you're still on the fence about using a meeting scheduler, put into the comments maybe why. We would love to, maybe we can outsource, we can, together as a community, help answer questions of why you might not have wanted to use a meeting scheduler, because they really are easy to use and they, I think, are just a total game changer for your business. But while we're waiting for that, let's pop back into the presentation and now talk about the other component, which is how to get more site visitors, right? So we know that if you don't get that many site visitors and your conversion rate is low, you just can't possibly get a good number of leads. So of course, before we start thinking about how do we drive more traffic to your website, we want you to have a good call to action and a good differentiating factor so that the leads that are coming are quality leads and you can convert them. So once you've taken care of those things, let's think about how do we get more traffic to your website in general? What are some easier to implement strategies that you can think about? So the first thing is setting up Google Search Console. I know I've harped on this in presentations in the past, but so many people still don't use it. So you can use Google Search Console and Google's Keyword Planner to look and see how competitive are the keywords you want to rank for. So if you want to be the first person coming up when somebody searches best financial advisor in Cincinnati, Ohio, you can see how competitive is it. Maybe financial advisor in Cincinnati, Ohio is really competitive, but financial planner is not as bad. So then you can target that keyword instead. So this is really instrumental for helping to determine which direction that we're going to go in, right? So you can see it's going to show you things like what is your average position for all the keywords that are you're ranking for? How many people are clicking through, your average click-through rate? How many times is your website being shown? So it's really going to be beneficial. And the best part is it's going to give you what we call long tail keywords. So SEO has come a long way. You'll notice the example I gave, best financial advisor in Cincinnati, Ohio. That's what we call a long tail keyword. It's a group of words put together into a phrase. That's how people search nowadays. They no longer just type in financial advisor into Google. They're very specific with what they're searching. So because of that, there are certain longer phrases that don't get searched as often that you can really capitalize on and get a lot of value out of, right? So for instance, let's say somebody is looking for a flat fee financial advisor in Phoenix, Arizona, and there's not that many people searching for that because not many people even know about it, but there's even not that many advisors that offer that either. You know that the people that are searching for it are going to be really great quality leads because they're so highly targeted in what they're even their query itself, right? So you can use these tools to find those specific long tail keywords that you're going to have the best chance of ranking for. And my second tip with keywords is think about local first. So for many of you, even if you don't have a brick and mortar business in one area, you have a PO box or your business is registered in your local area, and you're still getting a big swath of your clients from your local community, right? And it's the easiest kind of approach because it's easiest to make connections in your community, to go to community events, to make a name for yourself and not compete nationally. One thing that is a really easy to institute piece of SEO that people get wrong all the time is the where they put the local component in their title tags on their website. So if you were all to go and search your website right now, probably instead of saying the local area that you're located in first and then your company name last, you're going to see your company name first and foremost. And so what's happening there is you're missing out on the opportunity to rank higher for your local area. So you can see in the first example, they have Los Angeles, California, financial advisor, Bristol Cone Value Partners, right? The second one is the county in Florida, and then financial advisors, Wealth Care LLC. So you want the formula here, you can see down at the bottom, is primary keyword. Let me represent this. Primary keyword, and then secondary keyword, and then company name. That's the order that we want to go in. You can see to make the biggest impact. So do a search for your own business. If you don't have it set up that way, at the end of today's presentation, I will show you quickly how to go into 20 over 10 and make that change if you're on our platform, but it's very easy to do. Of course, you still want to include the location you're based in other parts of your website, not just here, but this is something that a lot of people don't currently do, and it's going to make a big impact in your local ranking. The second thing you want to do is pay attention to your meta descriptions to get more local traffic. So what happens is your site could be ranking pretty high for a keyword, but then nobody's clicking on it. So it's showing up a lot in the results, but nobody's clicking on it. Maybe it sounds too salesy. Maybe you didn't write it in a way that's enticing, right? So I'm sure that's all happened to all of us. We get a list of results in Google and we scroll through them. We don't like what we see and we move on. If your website keeps getting shown, but nobody's clicking on it, eventually Google will say, hey, that wasn't a good result for this query, and it will stop showing it. So you do not want this to happen or your results will start to go down. So what you can do is write your meta descriptions, which is that gray text below your link, to read as ad copy, right? So you can see in this first example here, they have, you only get one retirement and we'll help you make the most of it. We'll give you the insight and expertise you need to successfully navigate to and through retirement, right? The second one says, the old ways of wealth management no longer work. It's time for a different way to manage your money and your financial life. Let us help. So they're very much written in more of an ad copy. Instead of saying, the number one mistake I see people make is that they just regurgitate what their firm is about. So it'll say, a fee-only fiduciary firm located in Eugene, Oregon, offering retirement planning. Well, I could have gotten all of that from the main title tag. I don't need to reread it. So you really want to write this as ad copy. You want to think of it as what's going to make somebody want to click into that result. And header tags are the big bold text on your website that help people understand what your firm is all about. So I love this example. HCM Wealth Advisors is a firm. They actually worked with us here internally on their SEO. They worked with Amanda, who's on the call, and they were awarded this award, or ranked as one of the best financial advisors in Cincinnati in 2019. So when they were working with Amanda, they went and they were looking at the results, and by adding that here to the hero text, so the header tag on this page, they started to be ranking for that term, right? So just by virtue of putting it here on the homepage in a very prominent spot and then linking back to that expertise.com article, which you can see they cited, they were ranking for that term. Now, of course, you can't, have false advertising, so you need to actually be listed or ranked or awarded something like this to use this strategy, but it's a great strategy to drive a lot of traffic. I know a lot of you have been awarded things like that in the past where you're listed as a top advisor or top wealth manager. Putting it in the header tag is a great way to boost your SEO. You definitely want to keep this up to date though. So if you're awarded that in 2017 and the last 2 years you haven't, you want to get rid of it because it won't give you the same bang for your buck. It needs to be up to date. So if you do need more SEO help, like I said, Amanda's on the line. We offer a one-time SEO package that not only helps with all those things I just mentioned, but also things like setting up your Google My Business page, getting your NAP data, your name, address, phone number consistent across all of the sites, setting up Google Search Console and doing the keyword research for you. So this is a great package. If you're already a client of ours and you're looking for a boost with your SEO, you can contact us at marketing@20over10.com and we would be happy to talk with you about that. So let me just escape. I can't see your comments or questions while I am in that presentation mode. So I just wanted to take a minute and ask for those that are on, if you do want to see how you update your title tags, your meta descriptions, and your header tags in the app, if you could let us know in the chat that is something you'd like to see. We have like full-blown support articles, but I know sometimes it's helpful just to see somebody show you quickly. Put it in the chat box really quickly, and we will make sure that we get to that so you can see where in the editor to quickly make those edits to your title tag, your metadata, and your headers. Okay. Oh, everyone is saying yes, yes, yes. Okay, so why don't I just do that quickly since we're still doing good on time. So, okay, let's pretend you're logged in to your 20 over 10 editor, and this is what you see, right? So this is your website preview. Here's your main navigation. So what you want to do is on the left-hand side, you pick the page that you want to edit the data for. So let's say we are going to do the home page, and that was too fast probably for most of you. So if you hover over it, you'll see the little gear icon shows up and page settings shows up, right? So we're going to click right there. Now, under browser page title, you see where it says your trusted advisor. That's where we're going to put the information that's local, right? So if we go back to that slide, remember it's primary keyword, secondary keyword, company name. So we can see Los Angeles, California, financial advisor, and the company name. At 20 over 10, we actually, when we set up your website for you, we automatically add the company name to the end of any title tag. So you don't need to re-enter that here, and I'll show you what I mean in just a minute. So all we have to do is the first two parts of the equation, the primary keyword and the secondary keyword. So right here under browser page title, I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to put, let's see, what are these people? We'll say they're in Key West, Florida, and then we'll say, independent financial advisor. And that's all we have to do. And we've updated the page title for that page. So the browser page title can be found right there. If you keep scrolling down, you know, you can edit your imagery, like you all know. Where it says SEO and then description, this is where you're going to go in and do the meta description information. So again, if we come back to that slide, the next slide, that gray text that's going to give us the ad copy that we want to get somebody to take, you know, action and click into our result, that's where you're going to put that there. So here they have financial planning design specifically for business owners throughout Naples, Florida, right? Maybe it says something like, we help busy professionals and business owners delegate their financial concerns. I don't know. You get what I'm saying. So you would put your SEO description right there on that part of the page. So the SEO description is your meta description, and up here, browser page title is where you want to put that location-based information. And that's it. Really, really simple and easy to use. Now, the other one we did talk about was header tags. So that's the big bolded text that's going to be on your homepage or the other main pages of your site. And so if we're in the editor, you can see right here where it says heading 1. Anything you have listed as a heading 1 or a heading 2 are going to give you the best SEO bang for your buck. So if you have a, you know, page that's wealth management, right? You can see here, if I wanted to start adding something in, like maybe financial planning for small business owners throughout Key West, Florida. I want to make sure I'm getting financial planning for small business owners in Key West, Florida. Those are the two keywords I want to make sure are in my header. You can see here it's listed as a header 2, so maybe I want to go ahead and bulk it up to a header, or it was listed as a header 3. I want to make it a header 2, and then I might want to go in and move that to the top of the page, because from a design perspective, it looks weird to be, you know, bulked up down there. So we can go ahead and stick it at the top, and it's as easy as that, guys. Hopefully that was easy to understand, and you can all be logging into your website and making changes. If you make a mistake, just don't click save. You see down here in the bottom right, that's where you click save. If you don't save it, then you messed it up. You can go back, click a different page, and then when you go back, it will no longer be there. So let me pop back in. If you have questions about any of the things I just showed you, certainly add them in. Oh, somebody was asking about buttons, because we did talk about calls to action. So let me show you that really fast. So here where we have new paragraphs, that's where, you know, add in whatever you want your text to say. So chat with us today. And then you're just going to highlight that, and you can make that into a button. So we're going to insert a link. And so maybe we want it to go take us to our, you know, contact page. So you would put the URL of your contact page into there. I'm just doing this for purposes of showing you, and click insert. And then once you've turned anything into a hyperlink, you can make it a button. So you first have to go in, like I just showed you, highlight it, and add a URL that you want it to go to. Once you've done that, you can click this style, and that's when you can make it into a button. So you can easily, as you can see, make buttons. You can make the buttons different text, whatever you need to do to make that call to action really compelling. That would just be for a basic button. If you're trying to do a true lead capture, like we talked about in some of these examples, where it's popping up on the page, you would want to contact us and we'll work with you to get those created, depending on how you want them developed. But if it's just a simple button, you can use the editor in the way that I just showed you to make that happen. Okay, so hopefully, like we just talked about, we've got our traffic going up to 500 a month after you're making some of these different actions. You got your conversions going up because you've optimized your call to action, and now you're getting a lot more leads. Okay, but now what, right? You need to convert those leads before you need to get them, after they've given you their email, you need to get them to book a meeting, or you need to get them to want to interact with you a little bit more. So what kind of follow-up, do you take? So regardless of where they're coming from, whether it's a blog post, a landing page, or homepage, they're going to be taken to one of your lead generation premiums, whether it's an ebook, request a consultation, or contact us. And then from there, they would go into your sales pipeline. So once they're in your sales pipeline, you can set it up through a system like MailChimp or any of those email marketing systems to have it be automated so that you can just have emails going out once they've opted in. So once somebody downloads your 5-step plan to retiring as a civilian after leaving the military, you have these series of emails that go out, right? So email number 1 is going to automatically give them that lead magnet, that checklist, that guide that you've created. But then the next day, usually what happens is people get point number 1. They send them the lead magnet, and then they don't know what to do from there. So then they just start emailing the person like crazy, or they do the opposite. They don't email them at all. So this is the plan. You can screenshot this if you want. We'll give it to you obviously as a follow-up, but this is what you really want to do. Day 2, you want to send them a second email with another valuable message. Something, again, that goes back to that problem solution. So depending on what they downloaded, you'll know what type of problems that they're having and what kinds of solutions you can offer. And you want to put something in that email that is giving them some sort of valuable insight. On day 2, when you send that though, you want to include your calendar link. So if they've just completed, their request for a guide or an ebook or a checklist, they haven't given, they gave you their email, but they didn't book on your calendar. So day 2, when you send them your follow-up message, you would say something like, hey, I'm glad you downloaded my 5-step checklist for retiring as a civilian. I hope you find it valuable. Additionally, I wrote this great blog post on X, whatever the subject matter is that relates back to that first one. I think you would, enjoy reading it. And I also just wanted to include my calendar link here. I'm happy to chat with you for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever you want to offer, to answer any questions you have about either of those resources, right? Then day 4, you send your third email that just talks about, hey, a lot of the military vets that I work with who are approaching retirement as a civilian have some common issues, such as you list out 2 or 3 of those pain points, and I work with them to solve them by list out what you do, right? So you just, again, go back to that problem solution methodology. And then a week later, you can send another email, again, just offering a free consultation. So hopefully by now they've already got on your calendar, but if they haven't, you sort of send them one more reminder. And then if by no action is taken, 2 weeks later, I'd send a final email just to say, hey, saw that you still hadn't booked a time on my calendar. No problem. Just want to let you know I added you to my email list so that for now you can continue to get the great resources that I provide to military veterans about how to manage their finances. You'll see that in your inbox once a month, right? So you're just letting them know, you're putting them on your mailing list to drip on them over time. So this is the steps that you want to take. And whether somebody's actually ready at that moment or they're ready a year or 2 from now, you're going to keep them then, you're going to be top of mind for them in their inbox over time. So I know we're running a little bit short on time now, so I'm not going to get too deep into this, but just wanted to point out that if you're not using Google Analytics already, you really need to in order to tweak what components of the equation are working or not working for you. So for instance, if you create a guide, an ebook, some sort of lead generation magnet, and you notice that the page that it's located on, people are only visiting it for 10 seconds and you're not getting any leads from it, then you know that that landing page is not converting, right? So you can go to your Google Analytics, look at the page that the lead generation magnet is on, and look at the average time on the page. If it's, you know, really low, which I'd say low would be like less than 30 seconds. I'm sorry, less than 20 seconds. If the only thing is the lead magnet and you're not getting any conversions, then you want to put some other info on there to boost it up. The second thing you can look at is which of your channels are converting best and sending the most traffic to your website, right? So in Google Analytics, you can go to your total channels, and maybe organic search is producing the most results for you. So people just going online, searching best financial advisor in Cincinnati, they're landing on your page, but your bounce rate from that is super high. Let's pretend over here it says it's 90%. Well, then you know that you have a great title tag, you have a great meta description, but your homepage copy really is horrible and it needs to be updated. So again, you can use Google Analytics to see where people are bouncing and where you can optimize the copy on your pages. And then lastly, your blog is often going to produce the most number of new hits, right? So you'll write a blog post, it's fresh, it's optimized with your keywords, so you'll get the most traffic from that for a short period of time. Look at the blog posts that are getting the most traffic overall and write more posts on those same topics. So what I see happen a lot is people will see, like for instance, with our analytics here, you can see we have a blog post, the best financial advisor website, spring 2018. We initially did this with just the best financial advisor websites 2016, and it was one of our top producing blog posts. So rather than just leave it be, we started doing one every quarter. So we have one for fall 2017, winter 2017, spring 2018, right? And then we always link back to the older posts. This is how you create an optimized blog that's going to give you a lot of SEO. And when somebody lands on that post, they'll often end up clicking back to your older posts as well. So you want to look at your content drill down to see what blog posts are getting the highest engagement, and then write more posts like that. And then you can also add your calls to action and your freemiums on those pages. So if you have a blog post that's producing a ton of traffic, but people are bouncing off of it, they're reading it for 3 or 4 minutes, but then they leave, go in there and add some links saying you might also like to read with the links to your older posts. Or did you like this post? We send out our content once a week with tips just like this. Sign up for our newsletter, right? Put the newsletter sign up on that page. So again, you can use your analytics to really tweak what you're doing. I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has. I just want to point out again, if you email hello@20over10.com by Monday, you can get 1 month free on your hosting if you are a new user. So be certain to take advantage of that if you've been thinking about it. And let me just go to our website really quickly. If you want to talk with someone on our team, one of our website consultants, just about your website, how we might be able to help, what would go into transferring it over, if you click this schedule a demo button, that's our calendar app. As I mentioned, you know, this is really important. You can choose a time that works for you to talk with someone from our sales team right there from our website. So again, just click that schedule a demo and you'll be able to talk with someone directly. Or you can click that chat button and someone is there to chat with you as well. So I will answer some of the questions that we have coming in. And let's just see. Oh, I did get a couple emails right before this presentation about our, sorry, there's a fly right in my face, about our new program that's going to be launching soon called Market Assist. So if we go back to, you know, this slide, I know a lot of you look at a slide like this and you think, oh my God, it just makes your head want to explode because you don't have a lot of time to be managing all of this. So we created Market Assist as an answer to the problem that advisors have, which is how do I market my business, use all the right tools, but, you know, not become a full-time marketer. So if you haven't already, if you head over to just marketassist.io, we are going to be sending out in the next few weeks an email to everyone who signed up here for our early access period. So you'll want to make sure your email's in there. We have a few hundred people already signed up, and we're going to cap it. And then we'll have an exclusive access period for a few months before we release it and a hard launch. So that would be a great place to put it. This is where you are going to get content for lead generation, be able to schedule out campaigns, have all of your leads get a lead score so you can see how good of a lead that they are. It'll be tied in with email marketing, social media scheduling, all in one platform to make you know, making your website a revenue machine even easier for all of you. So definitely check that out. And I'm going to go through the questions. Oh, just one more reminder to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll get a notice anytime we post a new video. And if you haven't already, connect with me on LinkedIn because I love chatting with all of you. So one of the questions that we got was, how do you keep people scheduling on your calendar like a vendor? I would simply say if a vendor schedules on your calendar, the minute you see it, I would email them back and say, you know, I'm sure all of you are like looking at the person before you have the meeting. I would email them and just say, hi, I saw you scheduled a time on my calendar. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. My calendar is for prospects only. And that would be the end of it. Please remove me from your list. You know, it may happen a few times, unfortunately, but I think the best thing is to stop it like that before it gets out of control. And obviously don't take the meeting. That would be what I would suggest. If you are looking for content, 20 over 10, somebody's asking about like content. In our Content Assist, which we offer as part of our content library, you can take any of those pieces of content. Since you have to manually add them to your website, they're not automatically added. You can pick which ones you want based upon your audience. If you want to take one of those pieces of content and turn it into a, you know, a post, like a paper or something that you use for lead capture, you certainly could. So, you know, if you want to take one of these articles and turn it into a PDF and then gate it on your website, you could do that very easily from our library. So that's always an option too. Oh, great. Somebody was asking about our YouTube. Yes, it's linked. You just go to 20 over 10 websites is our YouTube channel that you want. Somebody's asking if you have multiple advisors, how can you do that? So if for calendar links, what's really great is you can set them up where if you have multiple advisors, I can't think of one off the top of my head. Amanda, if you can, let me know. But with Calendly, with Schedule Once, you can set it up where if you have multiple advisors, you say, you know, are you a prospect? And then you can list out multiple people. So if they know the advisor they want to book with, they can. If they don't, then, you know, maybe it round robins it. So like our scheduler, if you go back to our 20 over 10 page and you click this schedule a demo, it round robins between everybody on our team. So it just keeps going to the next person once somebody else has gotten booked. So that's an easy way to do it so that it's fair for everyone. Cheryl is saying from Growing Fortunes. I'm going to go ahead and click that, Cheryl. She's saying take a look at her website or how her calendar works. It's a beautiful website that Cheryl launched here with 20 over 10. And so she's got, you know, the make an appointment calendar here. There you go. And so you can see all of the different ways, the different categories that she has based upon what you're looking for. Okay. This is my contact information. Certainly let us know if you have any additional questions. We love talking with all of you. Hopefully you find this helpful. Again, keep that equation in mind. If you can increase the total number of visitors to your website and increase conversion, you're going to get more leads. It's really just a numbers game at that point, right? So try out a couple different things, see if it works. Don't be afraid to test and iterate. And if we can help you make decisions at all, you know, we have people all the time that will send us a video and say, hey, can you take a look at this video? What could I tweak? Or what do you think about this checklist I'm going to give away? How should I describe it? You know, we're happy to help answer those questions. So send them our way. I'll stay on for a few minutes in case there's any other questions, but thank you everybody so much for taking time to join us today. And we'll hope to see you next month on our next webinar.